Yet another new function of Liquid Edition version 6 are some of the import options. If I come down here, File, Import, what I want to point out is that I can import XML files now. Now what does that mean? You can see down here in the file type it's only listing ALE. So this is a function that the average user is not going to use, but the ALE is the Avid media log. It was a very basic way to log a videotape on a computer connected to a VCR, and then you could take that logged file, you could then bring that list into a program like Liquid Edition, and then based on the in and out points of that list, I could do a batch digitize of the information within that ALE file. But you can see here at the top of the window that now we also have XML, which allows to include much more information within that one file. But again, this is probably something that most of us aren't going to use, and I think we'll save this for a higher end training tutorial, but I did want you to know that it is here. Something else that's new in Liquid Edition, and something that we may not use a whole lot of, is if we come up here to the File, Xreceive, let's take a look at that. And now you can see that they've added to the list Xreceive from Wavelab. When I choose that, it says imports audio files that were modified in Wavelab. And now we can choose to link to them, copy, move, and import files into the current rack. What's also new is if we were to choose one of these clips here in our rack, or on our timeline for that matter, right-click and go up to Xsend to. Two options that we have now are Media Stream, and now we also have Wavelab right here in the list. Now we got this option to go to Wavelab with choices of fusing it as source clips in their original form. We can choose from mark-in to mark-out only, and we also have the option of using defined name instead of the object's name, so we could actually give it a name now. So this would be a quick way, just using Xsend to a location. If we chose that, Xsend to location, now we could send it out as a fuse clip, and we could give it a name. And that's a quick way to rename something so when it's on the hard drive, instead of it having the name of in-point and out-point time codes, it would actually have a name that you could read and tell exactly what that file was. So there we go, Xsend and Xreceive. I'm going to right-click here in the open space of my rack and show you something else. If I come up to Import Media Clip, what I want to point out is down here in the Formats or Files of Type. We can now see that there's quite a few new formats that we can import. For example, MXF, MPEG, 2 files, .MPEG, .MPG, .TS, and .VOB. And we can now bring in Windows Media Format files. And while we're here in the Import Media window, I want to point out there's a new option down here, Default Timecode System. TC stands for timecode. You can see right now it says 12, but that doesn't really matter because over here we have Auto Detect Frame Rate. And that's probably the best way to go. But if you wanted to force it to choose a particular frame rate, you could do that by choosing one of these presets right here and turning off Auto Detect Frame Rate. But I believe we shall leave that on. So there you go, there's the Import Media window. What's new? Now let's say we have a project that we were working on within Liquid Edition 5.5, but we wanted to bring it in here to Liquid 6.0 or 6.1 to take advantage of all the new features. So how do we do that? Well, it's quite simple. We go up to File, Open Project, and then we need to navigate to where those projects were. Now I'm going to go to my 202 gig drive, go up to the Backup Projects folder, and now I'm going to choose a project that I created in Liquid Edition 5.5, for example, the Comp Setup. Let's click on that. Aha! And now you can see this window opens up, Important Version Information. This project was created in a previous version of Liquid Edition, or Liquid, and needs to be converted to be usable in the current release version, Liquid Edition 6.0. The converted project may no longer load with previous releases of Liquid. Do you want to create a backup of the original version in the backup folder next to the converted project first? So basically what this is offering to do is it's going to create a backup of our 5.5 project and then open the project in 6.0. Because once we open it in 6.0, because we save 30 times a second, it's all over. It is now a 6.0 project. So if we ever wanted to edit this project in 5.5 for some reason, we would need to create a backup. So if I choose yes, it's going to create a backup automatically for me. If I choose no, it's all over. I'm going to create a backup. Why not? You can always delete it later. And so there is my project. You can see it's a bit of a mess because it's missing all its media. That's what the red bars indicate. It's also flashing, it's losing frames, or it can't be rendered. Missing media can't be rendered because there's nothing to render, right? So I'll just trash can that. Thank you very much. So now what I'm going to need to do is go into my media management tool to set up my paths to my hard drive directories where all this footage is stored. Take a look at the section that deals with media management issues, and we'll talk about how to relink all this information. Now we've lost the links to all our media here, and a quick way, if we couldn't resolve it any other way, is using a search function, and we've got a really powerful new search function here within Liquid 6. If I go to File, Import, and then Search Media, here is a brand new window that we've never seen before. It's a very, very powerful way to search. Now let's say the footage I was looking for was, say, an AVI, or maybe I captured it as a DIF file. So there's my two choices. I don't want to look at all images, just all videos. Nope. I just want to look for just DV and AVI files. And there they are, used extensions. So we could type a word or phrase in the file name, and then we've got the option to search by particular hard drives, or we could search by all the drives, or we could browse to a particular location. And then we've got all kinds of other options here. And again, check out the section on restoring projects and media management, and we'll show how this actually works. But a very powerful tool. And then once we find the files that we're looking for, we can import them into the current project. So again, a very powerful tool for finding media. Let's take a look at the properties of this particular clip here by right-clicking on it, going to Properties. So in the first window here, I have the real name, the actual name of the clip, the properties that I captured, video, audio 1 and 2, it's in stereo. And then over here on the Video tab, I have where it's stored, the actual media file name, the timecode in point, out point, drop frame, video. And then all the different parameters of that particular file and the codecs it was captured in. But what if I wanted to change, say, the setting of stereo to mono? But I wanted to do that for not just one clip, but maybe all 3 clips that I can see here in my window. I'm just going to drag across them like that, right-click, go to Properties, and now you can see at the top of the list here it says 3 selections. So now I'm displaying the properties of all 3 of these guys. If I choose mono, you can see now there's an asterisk there. If I hit Apply, the asterisk goes away. Now if I close that down, and I right-click on the first one, go to Properties, now you can see it's in mono. And this is a floating window, by the way. Now I can just click on the next clip here, and it loads the properties of that one. You can also see it is mono. And down the third one, it's also been changed to mono. So originally they were stereo, now they're all changed to mono. So I can change multiple clip properties now in one setting. Now we see 3 clips sitting on the timeline here, 1, 2, and 3. And I actually highlighted all 3 of these clips here in the rack and just drug them over onto my timeline. I seem to recall reading somewhere that now in Liquid Edition version 6, it should tell me when I've used things on the timeline. And that's a function I actually have to turn on. So if we come up here to the top left and left click on our edit, go to Control Panel, go to Project Settings, you can see here that there's a new option called Mark Clips Used in Current Sequence. And watch down here on these clips in my rack. When I select this option and hit the OK button, hey, look at that. There's check marks now. Let's close this window down. And you can see apparently I've used quite a few of these in my project. In fact, I've used all of them somewhere. Let me try this again now that that option is turned on. I'll come over here to my Oz rack. We'll get our cow standing out there in the field. Drag drop. There's the check mark. We'll get some Aussie surf footage. Drag drop. There it is. Check mark. And what else do we have here? Well, we have the Aussie Farm. Click, drag, drop, and I'll overwrite right there. And there it is right there. And this is all happening within LE6. And there's the check mark.